Okay, come on in, guys. Welcome to the Survivor After Show, the Scotty Survivor After Show specifically. You're possibly wondering why we are 20 minutes late. No, you're not. We totally aren't late whatsoever. Did not have the wrong computer. Apparently, StreamYard doesn't work with Safari. Who would have known? But I'm here today once again with our normal cast of characters. Emma's back once again. So, Emma, you want to take it away? How are you? Where were you last week? Walk us through it.
Where was I? Oh, so many places. No, last week I was too busy on Tuesday. I couldn't watch the episode in time for the show. So that's where I was right here. I just had no knowledge of what went on in the show.
So from the least committed person to Scotty Survivor to the most committed person to Scotty Survivor, Shane, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Govind.
The shade.
Succinct, to the point. We love to see it. We got a great episode tonight to break down. And I think a lot of reactions, at least in the room that I was watching. I'll throw it first to Emma. Emma, what are your thoughts on tonight's episode?
Oh, man. A roller coaster. I mean, the episode started and I was like, okay, a merge. Like, for sure, a merge. They're talking about a merge. Last episode, everyone's talking about a merge. Like, this is a merge, right? And then it's not a merge. So I'm like, okay, well, something's coming. Like, I could feel it. I knew something was coming. And y'all were devious. You saved it to the end. And it got me. I really didn't expect it. And I have to say, sitting here watching it, when you said you all are going to Tribal tonight and everyone's like jaw just dropped in the Zoom, I was sitting here jaw on the floor. Was can't believe you guys are doing this to them. So yeah, a wild episode. I was pleasantly intrigued the whole time. But I feel like some people have dug themselves some holes that they're going to have an interesting time getting out of going forward.
I'm happy to hear that despite us in the preview saying that 2 tries to go to Tribal, you were still surprised by that. I take that as a big win, despite our own
That's my bad.
stuff there. But Shane, you walk me through your thoughts on the episode as well.
I think it was short but sweet, and that's what matters. In Survivor, it gets to the point. Our past episodes have been full of debacle, strategy, and mess. Not that this wasn't a mess, but it was less of a mess than previous episodes. So, I mean, there's always that.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I was going to say, very glad they didn't go to Rocks. I got nervous when everyone started talking about Rocks, that's where that was heading. So glad that, well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't have gone to Rocks with or without Sarah's advantage, but I'm glad Sarah's advantage made it at least like an uneven number. So I felt a little better about someone going home. I guess it could have still gone home, but I felt pretty confident at that point it wasn't. So I was very happy to see that. Yeah, it felt very clean, the vote out at the end, as much as people were not fully in agreement.
Emma, for those that might have watched the episode a few days ago, you want to break us down who was on what side of that vote and why you thought it might have gone to Rocks?
Wait, who watched the episode a few days ago?
I'm saying this is going to be a YouTube video. People can watch this whenever they want in whatever order they want.
I don't think that it ever would have gone to Rocks. For me, it was pretty clear that this was divided among tribe lines. Dorothy was so tentative. Audrey was so tentative. Nobody was ever going to flip. Cushy just didn't have strong enough connections to really make anything happen. I think if it had been anybody else, if it had been Sarah, they could have had a conversation. If Sarah hadn't won immunity and Cushy had, Olivia might have had a conversation where they might have voted off Audrey instead, or Eric or somebody. But I don't think that Cushy had enough negotiating power to really save herself.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I agree. I think the having an even number of votes always makes me a little scared, and I think seeing how much discussion was being allowed to happen until the end, You know, like I feel like in that sequence where we kept seeing them go back and forth in breakout rooms, it wasn't until maybe what I'm imagining is like the last couple minutes where we actually, it just seemed like no one was really talking anymore and everyone was just sort of ready to vote. So I don't know. I felt like at the beginning something could have happened, but yeah, I don't know. I was almost, yeah, I don't know. I was kind of hoping Sarah would jump ship. I don't really know. I don't know. I think she really dug herself a hole with that entire vote because now Olivia knows she's a little schemy. And I think Olivia already has at this point or will likely figure out eventually that it was Sarah who made the fake idol. So I think it's clear now that like Sarah and Olivia, what relationship did exist there is not too great anymore. Which is unfortunate because it could have been a relationship that would have benefited both of them. But I think Sarah was a little too insecure about Olivia's relationship with Leo that wasn't as strong as I think Sarah thought it was. And so unfortunately, I think Sarah had an opportunity there that she sort of blew, which is, we'll see if she'll be able to figure something out.
I mean, I don't disagree with you that she definitely burned Olivia by voting Leo, but like, I think Olivia like earlier in the episode, she said like, Leo is kind of a snake. Like, I don't think that Sarah and Olivia's relationship is entirely burned by Sarah voting Leo. I think Olivia will be mad and Sarah will have to do some damage control, but Olivia know that she can't win against Leo, right? So like, I think that there will be some mending there, because there has to be. Like, you're going to need people from the other side, and since Olivia hasn't really been talking to people from the other side, Sarah is really her only avenue besides Corey. So she's going to need Sarah to get information on what's happening. So I don't think that that's over. I think there will just have to be heavy damage control.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that is sort of my point there is like, I don't know if Sarah will be able to do enough damage control quickly enough to keep herself from getting voted out pretty soon because especially if there is a merge coming, I think Sarah's a pretty clear, like a decent threat. And I think she would have needed Olivia to keep her in the game more than I think Olivia would need her, at least in my view. And, you know, we heard Olivia in like episode 1 or 2 say that, you know, if you lie to her, she doesn't take that lightly. And I do feel like she felt pretty burned by that, especially in the moment. I mean, she really kind of, I don't know. We'll see. I think, I think it could go either way, but I don't know. I'm not feeling great about Sarah's chances right now.
Okay, so to just address what Olivia said, like, Sarah had to use the extra vote that round. Like, there was no point. She had to use the extra vote. Like, the extra vote was only valid for that vote. So, like, she had to use it. She was bitter at Leo for voting out Amara. Like, she promised Amara that she was going to vote out Leo. Like, you can still be with Ogun and want to vote somebody out. Like, she had no allegiance to the Balder people, but, like, Leo pissed her off. So, like, I totally get Sarah's reasoning for wanting to vote out Leo. Like, he lied straight to her face. To her, like, when you lie to her face, like, that's a reason to vote somebody out. Like, and yes, she doesn't want to piss off Olivia, but, like, okay, Olivia says, why didn't she use the vote to prove that to us she was with Ogun? I think that she didn't want to vote with Leo. Like, at that point, she was too pissed off at Leo and felt like she had Cushy under her thumb. Like, there was no reason. Like, she thought that Leo was going to vote her out. And to be honest, he was going to vote her out if she hadn't been safe. So it wasn't a bad move by Sarah. Like, she wanted to flip, but it didn't make sense for her at that point. Voting for Leo at that point made perfect sense for her. She wanted to flip, but flipping pre-merge, like, I don't think that was the right move. She lied to Olivia, but voting Leo out was way more important because she needed the vendetta against him to get him out. Like, Cushy was on her side at that point. Like, there was no reason for her to vote out Cushy. There just wasn't a reason for her to vote out Cushy. She would have been way more loyal to Sarah over Cushy.
I can see
over
that.
Leo.
I can see that. It just feels very like it. Like I understand the reason for her to be like, yeah, bitter at Leo. It just didn't feel like the right move to me. I felt like she had other options. Like, I don't think her only options were Cushy or Leo. I think she could have figured something out where she could have stuck with Olivia and then, still had Cushy there. Like, maybe talk about, I don't know, Audrey at that point. I'm not sure. But I don't, maybe Eric at that point. Which was
Sarah,
also...
explain it. Sarah, explain it in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking.
I love how we're just like high key Monday morning quarterbacking, just like listening to, we're just like watching them from an omniscient lens and then being like, hey, this is what they should have done. This is what they should have done. In the moment, it makes sense, Sarah. But yeah, in retrospect, explain to us in the comments and more than happy to talk it out. But yeah, Emma, I cut you off there. Sorry about that.
No worries. I think I was probably going to ramble on the same train of thought. So I don't know. I can see Sarah's perspective. In this, I just feel like the result was predictable. And it's not really that good of a result for her. So, not that, I don't know. And again, we're not seeing everything, right? So there's probably conversations I didn't see that may have changed things. It just didn't feel. It just as it was happening, I was like, "Why? Please don't do this."
So
I mean, I think Sarah's reasoning makes sense here. Like, she wanted to be with Ogun, but like it was too early for her to flip. If she flips now, like it just doesn't make sense for her to flip. Like, flipping before merge is just a bad move. She wants to be with Balder. But flipping on Cushy, like, Balder is still depending on Cushy at this point. Like, even though she flipped on them, they are depending on her to get the votes. You know what I mean? Like, they're a minority going into the merge. Like, they needed Cushy. So, like, Sarah is thinking with her head. Like, flipping where she's going to be at the bottom of an alliance, just because she has Olivia, does not mean that she has everybody else. Like, she clearly doesn't have Leo. Like, this was her shot. This, like Sarah just said in the comments, this was her shot to take a shot at Leo, and like it was a risk. And sometimes you have to take a risk in Survivor. Like, she might have pissed off Olivia, but like I don't think that it will matter in the long run, because truly, I think that it was the better move for her than voting Cushy, because she would have just like. I just don't think voting Cushy was beneficial for her. Like, I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah, I guess like throwing a vote at Cushy, maybe not great, right? Like, I could see how if that comes back, that's not great. But like, I think it's pretty clear from watching that it's not Cushy, that it's not Leo going home, right? Like, I don't think that anyone in any of those rooms was really convinced that there was going to be 5 votes on Leo.
I
think she had to take her shot.
Yeah, I think 100% had to take her shot. I think also, you, like everybody's been saying, you alienate Balder if you make that move too explicitly. And then beyond that, I think Sarah wasn't 100% sure if that move wasn't going to like not work out, right? She has 2 votes. She has multiple people telling her in these breakout rooms that people are going to be voting with her. There seems like a pretty likely chance that indeed Leo's going to go home, but might as well, because you have no reason to do otherwise. And Sarah says here, definitely a risk, and I regretted it after, but I at least wanted to try. And I think that's the approach to have in Survivor. At least throw something against the wall. If it works out, so be it. If not, it's called Survivor. Who cares? Might as well just try to have as much fun as possible while it's doing it.
And at the end of the day,
Sarah's,
she's around another day, and that's what counts. So, or another week, whatever it is. So, I think she got what she needs in the game of Survivor, which is to not have her voted out. And so I guess we'll see how it goes going forward. But I don't think she's in the worst possible position. It just, I don't know. As a viewer, it felt off. But I think that's fair what she said. Like, some risks pan out and some don't, and this one just happened to not pan out, and that's what it is.
I think what Sarah said in the chat was really, really respectable. Like, if she wanted to send Leo home so badly, she could have played one of her idols on Cushy, but she didn't want to burn Olivia's trust so much. But voting against the Balders at this point just straight up did not make sense. Like, she needed to keep their trust, and they knew that they needed Cushy. So I don't think that it would have made sense for her to vote Cushy, and it also was a bad move for her to reveal that she had idols pre-merge. She needed to keep herself in the game, and she knew that she could justify herself to Olivia afterwards. Leo burned her. She has no reason to keep Leo in this game. She has reason to keep Olivia in the game. That does not mean that she has to keep Leo in the game. I think there's a difference between flipping to Ogun and keeping Leo. I do see Sarah's point of view in this. I don't think that it was the best move necessarily, gunning for Leo the way that she did. But from her perspective, watching the breakout rooms, it did seem like some people were going to flip. Yep. Dorothy truly seemed unclear on what she was going to do, and thus she had to take her shot. There was just no other option. She had immunity. She had the means to do it. If she hadn't had immunity, she could have played her idol on herself and voted Leo out herself. But I don't think she would have done that had she had immunity. I think that she would have waited for the opportunity to get Leo out. I think it wasn't the best move for Sarah gunning for Leo, but I think that it was something that definitely wasn't the worst option, and she can explain herself afterwards. He burned me, I had to take the shot. I think that after this vote, she can be hey, just it didn't work this time, but I'm willing to work with you. What if we work together? I think that she's not necessarily fucked from this.
Yeah, I would agree.
Good talk.
Yeah.
I think in the moment, I just remember thinking that it seemed genuinely plausible that somebody was about to flip. So seeing the fact that nobody ended up doing so, there's no reason to end up using an idol if you think there's a non-zero chance that you're actually going to be able to get people out just with the votes, right? And there's no reason to make your threat bigger. So I think what Sarah did in the moment completely made sense. My main memory from this entire challenge, or not challenge, tribal council sequence, was Anthony. And I don't know if they showed this in the episode, but Anthony's Zoom wasn't updated, so he couldn't move from breakout room to breakout room. So yours truly was just tasked with moving Anthony from breakout to breakout room, and every conversation he'd enter, it would end the moment he entered, and then he'd have to call me again. He's like, Govin, I need another switch. Govin, I need another switch. And because of that, Anthony got no chance of deciding what was actually happening that round. So I feel kind of bad about that, but just the way it ends up happening in Online Survivor, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony was kind of all over the place in this episode. I feel like Anthony gave off the vibes that he was willing to do whatever, but we both know that Anthony was just kind of a follower here. Yeah. I think that Sarah's move was justified. We'll see what plays out from it. It was a risk. She took it. Keeping Cushy would have been okay for her game, because after this vote, if she had kept Cushy in, it would have been great for Sarah. Cushy would have 100% trusted Sarah after this vote, because she literally tried her ass to save her. It just would have been really, really beneficial to her. Versus Leo, Leo wanted Sarah out, and she knew that. So I mean, we literally heard everybody talking about throwing the challenge last episode. They all wanted to throw it. So I mean, yeah, it's just a risk. Sometimes risks don't pay off during Survivor, and it was a risk, but she took it, and we'll see what happens from it.
Makes a ton of sense. Anybody got any other thoughts on the episode? I think the biggest thing that pops out to me is just the fact that our boy Hallie is immune. I was so worried about him going to Tribal and then getting voted off. And I think the opportunity that he'll now have reconnecting with Audrey and other people from the original Ogun tribe is for sure something to watch for. Emma, you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, to be honest, I don't think... Yeah, I mean, Hallie being safe is good. I don't think Hallie is a major player at this point. Like, he doesn't have the strongest connections. He doesn't have people really looking out for him other than Audrey and maybe May. But like, I don't see Hallie as like a major player in this, like, in this point. He's kind of a background character to me at this point.
Emma, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think that's true. I kind of thought you were being sarcastic.
I was very much not being sarcastic. I actually really wanted to, I guess, at the beginning of the game, you see him making these connections with Dorothy and Audrey. He's been on 2 different tribes from both of them. Now he's entering a merge where all of the power is with these like very few people, right? You see like the Olivias, you see the Leos, you see the Sarahs, etc., right? And now you have the opportunity to like see all of those quote unquote like lesser screen time characters like come back and join with one another, and seeing whether or not something comes from that experience, I think is something for sure to watch for, because big names can only stick around for so long in Survivor, right? You have to make sure that you have a shield somehow in front of you to avoid the opportunity to be voted out yourself. So those are my thoughts there. We'll see if Hallie is able to make better connections, because if he remains in the place where he is right now, you're 100% right. But I think he's begun making those connections with Stale a little bit, and for sure has those from his original tribes too. I saw some people in the chat also talking about Audrey. Does anybody have any thoughts on Audrey as we now enter like this next phase of the game?
I think Audrey played really smartly tonight. Not voting against Leo really put her in a good spot because people trust her. Her voting with Ogun is just brilliant for her. I think she doesn't. I think that she doesn't burn any bridges, and I think that that's really important for her game going forward. Like, the biggest part of Survivor is keeping your word and like making sure that people trust you. And if you don't have people that trust you, like, it's really hard to move forward in the game.
I think that makes perfect sense. Emma, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I think Audrey, I mean, nothing additional. I think that's what Shane said is very accurate to the game right now. And I think, Audrey's done a pretty phenomenal job taking herself from like the literal bottom week 1, almost getting voted out day 1, to now being in a pretty solid spot. I think, she does have a lot of trust. I think the next step for her is going into a merge, is to start silently building a resume. Hopefully nothing too big that people start questioning, but I think she's laid low just enough, especially in this episode, that I think come a merge, she's put herself in a good spot where she has enough trust that people will hopefully keep her in, especially Ogun, like original Ogun will keep her in to use her vote, and maybe she can sort of make some quiet moves to build herself up towards the end. I think I was just gonna make a comparison that spawned in my head. I don't know how true it is, but Audrey gives me like really strong Michelle Fitzgerald vibes. Like,
interesting. Okay.
Which
season of Michelle are we talking about?
Oh, right now. Oh, that's actually a good question. I was thinking original, but actually, I don't know. I don't know if she has enough friends for me to really count her as like winners at war, Michelle. But I don't know. I think she's doing a pretty good job of like maintaining trust and sort of like.
So we're at least getting like finalist energy out of Audrey. That's a pretty high bar for somebody that came in like so meek and timid.
Yeah, potentially, because I think she has, like you were just saying, a lot of like really good shields on her side, and I think people are gonna want to go after. Clearly, people are gonna want to go after someone like Leo. People are definitely gonna want to go after someone like Sarah on the other side. Olivia, which I'm surprised no one's gone after Olivia already. I mean, I don't know. Olivia's doing a really great job of sort of running this game a little bit without anyone kind of noticing. but I think, yeah, Audrey's in a good place to sort of let some of these people protect her for a while, just long enough for her to maybe turn around and pull something.
Then I think that's a perfect transition into this final part. I think we've talked more or less about the episode. Shane, do you have any final thoughts on the episode?
No, I want to highlight Olivia's comment about she said, like, would you guys say this episode was a major character breakthrough for Sarah and we'll see more of her genius going forward? I don't know if this episode was Sarah's most strategic episode, but I think that it shows that she's thinking a lot about the game. And like Sarah's been pretty like under the radar in the episode so far. So I think we're seeing a lot more of her, and I think that we'll continue to see that going into the merge.
I think that makes a ton of sense. I think character growth wise, we've seen like many different character narratives as far as those two, and then also from Eric, we've seen the complete opposite. It's slowly been like the most cocky freshman you've ever seen in your life, and now he's been humbled, and he's now entering a new world where he's now voting in minority, and he doesn't have everything working in his favor. So watching what happens to Eric as he now reunites with his old friends on Stale is going to be for sure something to watch moving forward. I wanted to spend this, I'd say probably like final 10, 15 minutes working through where we, each of us, like view the people entering the merge. Like who are the ones to watch? Who do you think are next out? Things along those lines. I can share my own thoughts first, or we can go with someone else. What do y'all think?
I mean, I feel like Emma's is the most relevant because we obviously knows what happens. So
yeah. Okay, Emma, you go. Go for it.
Okay, so the question was who's in the best spot and who's
just power rank the people left if you want.
Okay, that requires me to remember everyone who's left. So Lord. Okay.
Sure, we can walk through who from each swap tribe is left in the game. So on Stale, there is Hallie left, there's Zoe left, there's Corey left, and there's May left. Then on New Ogun, you've got Olivia left, you've got Anthony left, you've got Eric left, and you've got Audrey left. Then on New Balder, you've got Theo left, you've got Dorothy left, you've got Sarah left. So what do you think from that?
Geez, this is hard. I would say, all right, starting at the top, Olivia. And then some of these people, I can't put my finger on what their game is, and that's the hard part. Okay, I would say Olivia, and then a general, like, middle. I don't know if I can, like, really upper middle. I would say, like, Audrey, Leo, Sarah. May's sort of been exposed as a liar, so I don't know if I can throw May in there. Maybe Corey. Then I would put Zoe, May, Dorothy. I would actually put Dorothy at the top of that group. And then I'm trying to think of who's left. At the bottom, I would put Eric. And then who did I miss? Oh, Anthony. I would put Anthony and then Eric at the bottom. Anthony, I don't even know where to put him in this list because I have no idea what he's doing in this game. I just don't understand. Like, so far, I think he's really just like casually riding the wave of whatever this game is doing. I mean, he hasn't really been in too much of a position where he's had to run and scramble since he's like been working with Olivia and she's sort of been taking care of things in the background, and he, made a good connection with Audrey. So I don't really know. I haven't seen anything like super strategic out of him, which is why I can't really say what he's gonna do. Eric, I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling about Eric. I think people already sort of are sussed out by him. I think it's only a matter of time before he attempts something clever that doesn't work out. I'm so sorry if Eric is watching this. I like feel so bad saying mean things about these people, but I don't know. I don't trust Eric with himself. I don't trust him to make like good decisions. So I don't know. And I feel like at this point he doesn't really trust himself to make good decisions. He literally told us in a confessional, I don't think I'm good at this game. So I feel like Eric has some work to do. We'll see how long he lasts. It's not like he has a huge target on his back, but I don't see him lasting terribly long because I think he's going to get in his own way.
I think I agree with a lot of that. I think that it's very interesting watching the way in which I think the episode is edited versus how at least I perceive things like live. I remember in the moment right here and there, I was like, oh my God, like Anthony is doing so much. Like there's so much that we can like look at as far as how he's going to fare in the merge. And then now looking back actually on like the video he submitted and stuff like that, he gave off a very like an air of like being very active and always submitting confessionals and stuff like that. But as far as actual like strategy per se goes, it was quite limited when compared to many of his like peers, right? He's found himself in good graces of the people who are really controlling the flow of like information and the like. But as far as actually being able to like determine his own fate, that's for sure, I think, the case that he's kind of just like hoping that other people keep him around for the most part. Yeah. One person who I am really excited to watch, actually two, are both Zoe and Dorothy, for I think very different reasons. I think first Dorothy, I think everybody's still very much like under she's been able to use the idea of like other people as shields very, very well. I think that everyone credits like Leo for the Amara boot, right? They don't credit like Dorothy, who did just as much in trying to make sure that that boot took place, right? But I think at the same time, when Leo has those like really strong connections with people like an Olivia, etc., Dorothy doesn't really have those, aside from maybe a Hallie. So will she be able to create more like strong connections in the merge? She still hasn't met like a lot of people who are in this game. So once she maybe meets like the Balder group that was on Stale, maybe that could work in her favor, or maybe they hate her and want to get her out ASAP. Second person was Zoe. I think she has a lot of ground to possibly make up, in the way that there are for sure people who think of her as like a big personality and are still yet to meet her game wise, and their only impression of her for like the past 25 days has been like her intro video, which is a tough hill to climb when that's so like ingratiated into your brain. But like, beyond that, she's now wasted and idle. She is with the remaining members of an alliance that seems to be relatively exposed by this point. How do you respond from that is a pretty big question. Is she able to use Eric as a shield? If she is, I think that's perfect. But if not, like you've seen Corey in past episodes trying to make these alliances with Olivia, you don't see her doing the same thing. How is that going to work long term? Any further thoughts on any of that?
No, I definitely agree with what you said, especially on Dorothy. I mean, Zoe, I don't know. I think Zoe's a big question mark for me right now, but I think we see that sort of like you alluded to, Dorothy knows what's going on in the game. She's not sitting back and being like a passive watcher. She's not an audience in this game, but she's doing a really smart job, as far as I can tell, of just going with whatever flow is going to keep her name out of anything. So I think so far Dorothy has played a smart game. I think we'll see what happens when if her name starts getting thrown around, if she starts, if she's on the chopping block, we'll see what happens then. And I can't predict that, but I think she's done a good job so far. So yeah, I completely agree.
Shane, what you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you both are saying. I think there's a stark difference between Zoe and Dorothy. Zoe has a large target from the beginning of the game with the Ogun people, and I think Dorothy has just as big of a target with Olivia, and Olivia has a lot of sway here at this beginning part of the merge. Olivia has been in control these past 2 episodes, so I mean, if Dorothy's not careful, it could really backfire, because we saw early on in the season Olivia being like, oh, I wish Dorothy had kind of been voted out. So like if Dorothy doesn't play her cards right, it could really backfire on her. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's points for both of them. I think both of them are in pretty precarious positions in the fact that they're going to have to really play their merge right for them to to really succeed. Otherwise, it could just totally backfire right in their faces.
All very, very fair points. We got anything else on our plate, team, or does that about wrap it up?
I think that about wraps it up.
Okay, so on that note, I think great comment in the chat. Why do we have to wait 3 weeks for the next episode? What are we going to do on Tuesdays now? It's just a bum-ass weekday, in Tate's opinion. 100% agree. I think, like, what are you ever going to do with your life now without Scotty Survivor? I think a life without Scotty Survivor is one without meaning. So we're about to live 3 weeks of a meaningless life. Shane, do you want to provide a little bit of an update as to what's going on like the editing side of things?
Think about this as your favorite TV show is going on break for a week or two, but to be honest, we have edited this season quicker than most college survivors. Most college survivors take 1 to 2 years to edit, and we have edited this season in about 3 to 4 months, which is remarkable and hands down just like great. So thank you, shout out to the editing team. But we all are a little burned out and we need a little bit of time to really come up with the next episodes and keep going. I know I myself personally have some editing to do, and we just need a little bit more time. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen quickly, but we just need a couple more weeks to get our stuff together, and then you'll have the rest of the season.
Shout out to Shravya, our chief editor, what is the official title? Editor in chief? No, that's for
head editor.
Head editor. Shravya, Shane, Amy, Lucas. I stopped being able to like get my fingers in order for that one there, but they are absolute godsends. Being able to do this so quickly. I do not want to I want to once again underscore what Shane said there. This normally takes like 1 to 2 years, and they are currently doing this in 3 to 4 months, which is insane. And the fact that this is still coming out in such a timely fashion is crazy. Like 3 weeks isn't that long. So hopefully we'll be able to provide you with some content on our Instagram. Make sure you're following Scotty_Survivor if you're not already, because we'll surely be posting. And hopefully you'll be able to watch some other College Survivor content as well, because I think there's more than enough Survivor content right now, even with Survivor on CBS being on hiatus.
Shout out to Amy and Lucas and Shravya, because this season could not happen without them.
It's super helpful. They are doing absolute amazing work. There's also one more thing I wanted to share. Oh, there we go. Lucy has been spamming the chat with comments about Shane's hair. Emma, what do we think about Shane's hair?
I love it. Looks great. I have nothing more to add.
Cool. Shane, I also love it. I think the hair looks great. Told you that during Tribal. Still believe it. Everybody in my room also believing that Shane is extremely handsome. Everybody wanting his number right now.
Stop that.
For everybody who follows the Instagram account that wasn't already following it, you'll be entered into a raffle for Shane's phone number. So look out for that one. So that's that.
Look at what Lucy said now. That's funny.
Ooh, never mind. Shane, we like the old Shane better. I'm kind of like a Shane purist personally. So I'm personally a fan of like when he came out of the womb and had like no hair whatsoever. So hopefully you hop on that train.
Okay, that just went weird. That went really weird. I don't know where you went with that, but I think that needs to end.
Yeah, I think we're going to end it there. As a reminder, season 2 is still filming right now. If you want to join production for season 2, we actually had one person join production this week. Shout out Patrick, who just walked up into the production set and ended up just like helping us film, despite not knowing what the heck was going on when he showed up. So if you have any interest in joining production, please hit us up. Always looking for more people. And we have now reached the merge of season 2, which is absolutely insane. With that, I think we are going to be signing off with a final message from Shravya to join production. We'll catch you in 3 weeks' time. Take care. Much love. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye, everybody.